this morning? I done something just then. Reminded me of Brother John Osteen, something he did, told about happened to him down in Houston, and him and Dodie was going to church, you know, and so he done something and sort of made Dodie mad. I don't forget what it was. And anyway, they went up there, and he said they got to the church, and boy, they're sitting up there in front, you know, on the platform, and so they're sort of hooked up to one another, and so in a little bit, somebody come in that he's supposed to know, and he couldn't think of their name. That's why I done just into Laverne. I asked her somebody's name. I just couldn't bring it. I said, certain name, you know. And but anyway, Brother John said, reached over and said, Dodie said, what's that lady's name out there? Dodie said, I ain't tell you. He said, Dodie, it's important. I know that lady's name. So I'm supposed to know it. Said, you tell me what her name is. And she said, repent. And so he kept on, and they done that several times, and finally he said, okay, Dodie, I'm sorry, I repent. And she told him his name. But see, I wasn't in trouble, so Laverne just went ahead and told me the name, and got it done all right that time. Well, it's good to see y'all this morning. Good to be here. Let's get our Bibles, and we're going to make our confession this morning. Are y'all excited about being here, being able to raise your Bible in a free country? Amen. Well, repeat after me. This is my Bible. I am what it says I am. I have what it says I have. I can do what it says I can do. Today, I'll be taught the Word of God. I boldly confess. My mind is alert. My heart is receptive. I'll never be the same. I'm about to receive the incorruptible, indestructible, ever-living seed of the Word of God. I'll never be the same. Never, never, never. I'll never be the same. In Jesus' name. Amen. Hallelujah. Okay, turn with me to the book of Matthew, the 7th chapter, and 24th verse we'll start. And while you're looking there, you know, I need to share something that happened last week with us. So I went out and we took, me and Laverne took Scott and Taylor to eat down at Logan's. And so we were sitting there enjoying our meal, and Scott looked over and he said, that girl just keeps staring at me. And it was a pretty little waitress there. And so we got to notice, and sure enough, she was, you know. And so every once in a while, Scott, as he'd eat his meal, he'd look up, and that girl still just be staring at him. Went on through the meal, got through, and he looked over there, and that girl was still just standing up there and just staring at Scott. And so finally, he took it all he could take it. So he got up, and he went over there, and he asked her, said, listen, I couldn't help but notice how you've been staring at me through the whole meal, and I just wondered what the deal was. You know, what's the matter? She said, you remind me of my third husband. And he said, well, how many husbands have you had? She said, 2. He left it. He was gone. I think he's got a little bit of gun shy on him when they're married. I don't know. Okay, 7th chapter of Matthew, it says, therefore, whosoever heareth these sayings of mine and doeth them, I will liken him unto a wise man which built his house on a rock, and the rains descended, and the floods came, and the winds blew, and beat upon the house, and it fell not. And because it was founded upon a rock, and every one that heareth these things of mine, and doeth them not, shall be likened to a foolish man, who built his house upon a sand, and the rain descended, and the floods came, and the winds blew, and beat upon that house, and it fell, and great was the fall of it. If you would, Brother Mark, won't you lead us in word of prayer?
Lord, thank you for this day. Thank you for everything that's done for us, Lord. Just bring the word to us and just let it soak in our hearts, Lord. Let the word be your words and just let them just bring power to our minds and let us just live the way you want us to live, Lord. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
I want to preach just a little bit different sermon today, have a different message, and I just want to talk to us a little bit about the homes. Our homes in 2013 that we're in, and so let's just talk about our homes. You know, sometimes when things have problems in them, you don't like to talk about them. But you know what? I believe we need to talk about things and bring it out in the open. And you can't hardly solve things if you don't talk about them. It don't matter if it's you with your wife or with employees or whoever it is. A lot of times a good conversation, just a good talk will help things out. And so this is going to be just a little bit different, but I'm really concerned. I'm really burdened about our homes nowadays. Are y'all concerned about our homes?
Amen.
I tell you what, in our home, when I grew up, we didn't have a thing in the world. We was poor and Job's mouse or whatever it was, but we didn't know it. You know, it never dawned on us that we was poor, didn't have nothing. And we just had a good time, and we had all kinds of love in our home, and we never did have to be concerned about coming home and you know, knowing that our parents was going to be there. Well, Daddy probably maybe out working or something, but we knew that we had parents there, and my mother was always there. She was always cooking beans and taters and ironing them Levi's. I guarantee she had a full-time job, had 6 boys. But you know what? She was always there, and things was a lot different from what back then than what our homes are nowadays. And you know what? I believe that we need to address this situation because we're living in some terrible times.
Right.
Some awesome times. We have times of great opportunity now as Christians, but I'm going to tell you what, this whole world that we live in is, it's got some problems. It's got a mess. It's turned upside down. It's nothing like I ever thought it'd be. It's nothing like I never, ever thought that I'd live in the United States and the things be going on that's going on today. And even people's train of thought, the way they think. And what's so alarming is even the way Christians think nowadays, you know, a lot of times. And so we need to get down to the bottom of it, and I believe the bottom of it starts with the home. And you know what? There's a devil that's attacking our homes every day. Amen. We have an enemy. And he come to steal, he come to kill, and he come to destroy. And that's just the day that we live in. The devil is doing everything he can because personally I believe that we're in the last of the last days. Yeah. When I got saved in 1972, everybody was telling about Jesus coming back. Jesus coming back. And a lot of people have done stupid things like 88 reasons why Jesus is going to come back in 88. You know, some wrote books and all this kind of stuff. And I don't know when Jesus is coming back, but I know we're closer now than we was back then. And I know I say a date, but you know what? Jesus is going to come back. But right now, homes are being destroyed almost as fast as they're being started. It's sad. Homes are not even like what we knew as home before. Homes are completely, what people think about homes is completely different. And, you know, there's a satanic attempt to undermine the very foundation of the Word of God, and the very foundation was established that the home is the oldest foundation there was. Marriage is the oldest thing, you know. And so it's very important. And we're connected right now with about 40 or 50 families that we've got rental property. And I want to tell you one thing. You talking about dysfunction. And our government is against families. Y'all don't think that our government is for the family unit. Our government is set up to destroy the homes. We've got about 40-something people out there, 40-something homes. Almost 100% our homes are rented to women, and the government pays for it. You pay for it. Pay for the home. You pay for the utilities. You pay for the groceries. You pay for the insurance. And then you give them a check on top of that. And I tell you what, something else that y'all probably don't know, that once a year you give them an income tax check, people that has never worked, don't have a job, never had a job, their mamas didn't have a job, their daddies didn't have a job, their grandparents didn't have a job. And every year they get a check from $4,000 to $7,000 or $8,000, depending on how many kids they get, as a tax return. And the homes are completely, just completely erased. They're just wild. No home, no husbands. When I fill out one of these deals for rental property, they'll have 10 kids on there, and every one of them 10 kids have a different last name. And if they just don't know the daddy's name, well, they'll put their last name on it. You'll know then, well, they didn't even know who the daddy that baby was. Boy, I tell you what, the devil is having a heyday because there's no supervision, there's no authority, there's nothing else, and people's got an awful mindset. But you know what? We need to be concerned about our homes. Our homes. And the problem is, and the thing that concerns me so much is how that's the world system that we was talking about. That's the world system. And what concerns me so much is how the world system is seeping into our Christian system as Christians, and how our values are being lowered, and how we're doing so many things that we see, and we say, oh yes, I'm a Christian, I love Jesus, but we see that our standards are, instead of going up, our standards are being brought down to the world system. Lamar and I had a good friend over there that was got on up in age, and his wife got cancer, and they had insurance, but they used up all their insurance. The insurance shut them off, and so the wife was in the last stages of cancer, and she was in such horrible pain that she couldn't stand it. She had to have this high-priced medicine in order to just exist, and so they tried to get help to get this medicine. They couldn't get help. And so finally, you know what they told her to do? They said, if you'll divorce your wife of probably 50 plus years, if you'll divorce your wife, then she can get all the help she wants. And that preacher, he was a preacher, and that preacher had to divorce his wife because she was in so much pain he couldn't stand to see her suffer, had to divorce his wife to where the government would help. Don't that break your heart? But you know what? Today we want to talk about our homes. And we're not talking about somebody else. We want to talk about our homes. Amen? See what God says about our homes. You know, today the problem is that the husbands and the wives don't really seem to care. Children are running wild. You know what? Most of the people don't even know much about their children nowadays. I know when we was growing up, we'd all us boys, we'd get out there in the woods, and we'd get our BB guns, and we'd leave early in the morning, and we'd not come back to that evening or sometime. We just eat at whoever house we happen to be at, But I tell you what, wherever we was at, that parent disciplined us. If we got in trouble, he'd take every bell and and they'd give us a whooping, and then straighten us out. And then if you went home and told Daddy about it, you'd get another. It's not like that nowadays. Don't you touch my little baby. I don't care if he did, something wrong. Just don't mess up. But a lot of times we don't even know. because there's no authority. Everybody's too busy. I mean, you know what? Our increase, just think about our schools. Who would ever thought when I finished school in 1964, and we would have never thought about having a policeman at school. Now you don't think about going to school without having a policeman. Metal detectors. We used to go to school, and all us boys, after we got big enough, you know, you'd had to have 2 or 3 guns hanging in your back window. You pick up. Y'all remember that? Drive up to school today with 2 or 3 guns hanging in the back of your pickup. I don't think so. But things are changing. But God wants us to have good homes. Listen to what he said. He says, all the people who hear my sayings and do them. All the people that hear my sayings, now say it with me, say, and do them. Amen. That's the key. It's one thing to hear, but it's another thing to hear and do them. It'll be like to a man who built his house on a rock. The rains descended, the floods came, and the winds blew and beat upon that home, and it fell not. It fell not. Because it was founded upon a rock. Amen. The other day we went in Laverne and borrowed a swimming pool. And so we went out there and we dug down in the ground a couple of foot, got a backhoe and dug down a little bit. And we put that swimming pool up there, and Scott went and got some concrete blocks to put underneath the standards that holds the swimming pool up. It's a lot of pressure on that. You put a lot of water in there, it's a lot of pressure on it. And so he came back with some little old blocks that's about like that. That's what he went after. And they look real good. But you know, we put those blocks under there, and we filled that thing up, that swimming pool up with water, and it was just perfect. Boy, the water was even, the sides was even, everything looked good. And then it started raining. And it rained, and it rained, and it rained, and the floods came. And the next thing you know, you looked out there, and those sides weren't even much anymore. And so we couldn't figure out what in the world was going on. So we went out there and got to looking around after it got to just bending over a whole lot. Got to go out there, and those, what we thought was rocks that we put under there, must have been some kind of ornamental concrete or something like that, because every one of them just crushed under the weight of that deal. When it got wet, it just demolished. And that's the way it's talking about here. You got to add something solid. We went back and got some 4-inch blocks, 12 by 12 blocks, and we're putting that on there, and that's going to stay. That's what we need to build our homes on. We need to build our home on a solid rock. It says, and everyone that hears these sayings of mine and does them not. Say it with me, say, does them not. Shall be likened unto a foolish man that built his house on sand. You know what? It's going to fall, it's going to fail, it's going to fall apart. Now the very first home was established, and Adam failed God. Y'all remember the story? You know, Adam and Eve was in the Garden of Eden. I mean, they had it made. They didn't have to do all the stuff that we do. They didn't have to go out there in the garden and hoe the weeds and pull the thorns and the thistles and things like that. And, you know, Adam was out there in his lonesome, so God gave him a wife. I believe she was a number 10, perfect 10. You know, look out there, and she was perfection as far as women go. And you know, she's a knockout. And they run around there, and they had it made. And then one day the devil comes on the scene. You see, Adam and Eve would have been still living today in the garden, in the flesh, had they not sinned. And you know what, ladies, a bunch of these ladies, I see at our house, they go in there and Laverne or Taylor or whoever's there, the very first thing they do in the morning, you know, getting ready to go somewhere, they start putting makeup and stuff on them. They paint their eyebrows and their lips and all that kind of stuff. Back in those days, you didn't need no makeup. And you know what, I've noticed that some of these ladies nowadays, when they're young, they look one way, but as they progress and get older, they get, things start shifting around, and things start to change a little bit. But you know what, I'm not going to talk a whole lot about that. What I'm saying is that Eve, she would have been the same today as she was back in those days. But you know what? Eve listened to the devil. They had a perfect home. The devil come up and started talking to her a little bit. You know what? The devil still comes and talks to women nowadays. They come talk to the men too. But you know what? The devil come up there and he made it such a beautiful picture. And Eve failed. She reached up there and got that apple. And God said, don't take a bite of it. She took a bite. And just as soon as she bit down that apple, you know what happened? She started dying. Wasn't no such a thing as death before then, but the minute that she took a bite of that apple, Eve started deteriorating. She wasn't a perfect 10 anymore. It might have been just a slight deal, but I guarantee you things were different. And then she goes over there and she offers that apple to Adam, and y'all know the deal, like most men do when they've got a number 10 working on them, you know what? He said, well, okay, just this one time, you know. That's all it took. But you know what? The devil got a hold of the wife, and we still feel the effects of that today. And then when Jesus came on the scene, that, you know, the first marriage was it was a failure. I mean, they goofed up. And then when Jesus came on the scene, the first miracle that he preached, y'all have any idea where it was at? The first miracle he performed? Is at a wedding, wasn't it? The devil destroyed the first home, and so the next home that come up, the first miracle, he put it at a wedding. Now, every house, every home can have a miracle. Our homes need some miracles. Amen. God has blessed us so much here at this church. We didn't set out to be a miracle type church or something like that, although that I do believe very much in miracles. The Bible says that Jesus is the same yesterday, today, and forever. And so if he'd healed somebody a long time ago, he'd heal today. And so on and so forth. If he'd saved somebody, he'd save today. It's the same thing. But you know what? Jesus has blessed us here at this church. But you know what he wants to do? He wants to bless you at your home. He wants to bless your home with miracles. He wants to bless your marriage with miracles. He wants to bless the husband with miracles. He wants to bless the wife with miracles. He wants to bless the children with miracles. You say, oh, I don't know if he can do anything in my home. Listen, the Bible says, with God, all things are possible. Amen. And the widows. Y'all knew that Miss Margie is a widow, and so she got sort of entangled with the Wild Bunch. You know, a lot of these places, they got gangs and stuff. Well, our church has got a little group called the Wild Bunch. So they got to run around going to IHOP and Denny's and all these places and just showing out. I tell you what, they'd eat some fat and stuff and all that kind of stuff. They did all kinds of stuff. But anyway, Miss Margie got this big old 2-story house up there. And she said, well, you know, it's not right that I just live here by myself. I need some help. And so she asked Miss Jeannie if she'd like to live with her. And so they're doing pretty good. And so Miss Jessie come along, and they said, Miss Jessie said, why don't you just come and just move in with us here? And so, man, everything was going good till the other day. And so Miss Margie, she goes upstairs to take a bath. And she starts getting the bathtub, and she forgot whether she was getting in the bathtub to take a bath, or she'd already took a bath and she's getting out of the bathtub. And so she hollered down and she to Miss Jessie. Miss Jessie, she said, don't worry, I'll come up there and I'll help you. I'll figure this out. We'll work it out together. And so Miss Jessie started up the stairs, and she got about halfway up there, and she forgot whether she was going up the stairs or going down the stairs. And so said, I'm glad that I'm not like them and can't remember nothing anymore, you know. And so then they said, come up here and help us. Miss Jenny said, okay, said, I'll be right up there to help you. Said, I just got to answer the door first. That's it. That is not the truth. Hey, I went a long time ago over to Defendant, and I told them that about going to, I was in a funeral service, and I was preaching a funeral, you know, I got it right in behind the hearse and all, and we was going down the road there, and man, I put me in a tape, and I got all excited about, you know, listening to that tape and all of a sudden, that thing in front of me was just driving slow, and boy, I was getting excited, so I just whooped out and started around the hearse, and then it dawned on me where I was at. And so I just reached over and I pointed that guy's tire and I said, hey, you got that. And I told that in church. And then I got to try to tell people, I didn't really do that. That was just a joke. I didn't really do that. and so even last week, that was years ago, last week I heard my sister-in-law telling somebody about that funeral. Telling you. And so, but anyway, so that I straightened all that up. I was just a lying preacher. But it could be the truth very easily. You know, it could really happen. Yeah. Okay, now let's listen to the scripture. Y'all, Sunday. Anyway. Listen. Okay, listen. The head of every man is Christ. The head of every woman is a man. And the head of Christ is God. You might have to get up here and get me out of here. You might have to get up and get it. Ephesians 5, verse 22 says, wives, submit. S-U-B-M-I-T, in case y'all take it. Wives, submit yourselves to your own husbands, as unto the Lord. For the husband is the head of the wife, even as Christ is the head of the church. Therefore, when God puts therefore in there, you need to stop and see what's therefore I've heard. Therefore, as the church is subject to Christ, so let the wives be to their own husbands in everything. Husbands, love your wives, even as Christ loved the church and gave himself for you. Amen. I tell you what, that's a pretty good recipe right there. Love never fails. It don't matter how good looking you are. It's gonna fade. We had a niece one time that was she was going with this boy, and everybody tried to talk her out. Said he's not any good for you. She was pretty, had it made, you know, had every opportunity in the world. But boy, she just loved this old boy, and they tried to talk her out. And she said, no. She said he's so good looking. Well, that was what, 20-something years ago, and now that they're divorced, and he's not so good looking, you know, and he's an alcoholic, and now but you know what? It don't matter what the looks. That's good. Now, guys, don't get me wrong. You need to find a good-looking girl. If you're looking for a girl, find you a good-looking. That's good. It's all right. And you guys, you women, y'all can find you a hunk. That's all right. But I tell you what, that's not the most important part about it. The looks is not the most important thing about it. You know what it is? The most important thing is commitment. You've got to be committed to one another. Committed to one another. I believe the best thing that ever happened to Laverne and I, we've been married 47 years. I'll never forget, we was driving out down here by this church in the back of the 57 Chevrolet when she begged and begged and begged, and I finally said, okay, baby, I'll be married. And my brothers almost took her away from him. My daddy did take her away from him. She'd curl up in his lap like, well, she's the first girl on the hill. 6 boys, she's the first one. You're talking about spoiled. But you know what? After about a year or several months, while we moved up to Norfolk, Virginia in the Navy, and you know what? That was probably the best thing that ever happened in our life. Why? Because we had to depend on one another. And we built a commitment to one another. I mean, when the preacher said, till death do us apart, I mean, she took it serious. You know, and that's what we ought to do. We ought to have a commitment one to another, because this fleshly body is fixing to get old. It's going to get wrinkled, and you know what? I've noticed that you get brown spots all over. You know, as you get old. Now, probably not y'all, but you know, Bobby's got brown spots. It's brown. And your skin starts getting, you know how y'all know how those folks get when they get old. but you know, a commitment, love covers a multitude of sins. Love covers a multitude of sins. Have you ever noticed somebody you love? I mean, they can do things. What about your kids? I mean, your kids can do something, they just be driving everybody else up the wall. You know, they want to pull their hair out, and you'll be looking at, ain't that cute? You know, ain't that cute? Somebody else comes along and does the same thing. Them brats, I'll be glad when I get them out of my sight. You know, love covers a multitude of sins, and love is what matters. Now, young people, we got any young people in here? Right here. Let's go right here. I'll set myself up in that. What happened to the teenagers? What happened to these teenagers? Huh? The Bible says, children. Now, y'all ain't that young. Children, obey your parents in the Lord, but why? Because they have authority over you. I thought we was going to have some children in here. The teenagers are supposed to be in here. I don't know. They don't mind very well. And then it says that you may live long on this earth. That's the first commandment that God said that had promise. He said we need to honor our mothers and our fathers. I tell you what, when my daddy was old and my mother was old, I honored them. When they told me something, I just said, yes, sir, or no, sir, or yes, ma'am, or no, ma'am, or whatever it is. Why? Not that they could, at one time my daddy could just jerk his belt off and he would wear me out, you know. And when he got old, he might not could have done that. I'm not totally convinced that he couldn't, though. You know what I mean? I still believe he might, when he just, but you know what? We need to honor our mothers and our daddies. In Colossians 30:21 says, fathers, do not provoke or irritate or fret your children. Don't be hard on them or harass them, lest they become discouraged and sullen and feel inferior and frustrated. And in the King James says, Father, provoke not your children to anger, lest they be discouraged. We don't want to discourage our children. I tell you what, don't provoke them, don't aggravate them, don't antagonize them. Love them. And when you say something, mean it. Don't come up there and say, if you do that again, I'm going to tear you up. Okay, if you do it one more time, I'm going to tear you up.
Count to 3.
Okay, I'm going to count to 3 now. I'm going to count 1, 2, and all that kind of stuff. I tell you what, we need to discipline our children. They need to have respect for us. I had all kinds of respect for my mother and for my dad. Now listen, I wouldn't dishonor my mother or anything in this world. I wouldn't, my mother and my dad's gone right now, I would give anything that I have to be able to just sit down with my mother and my dad just one more day. Take my mother. My mother used to like to eat, and I thought, man, if she was here today, she'd be that big around. She's a little skinny woman, but I tell you what, she'd be that big around because I'd be having her in every cafe around here. Because I love my mother. But the Bible says that we're not to provoke or irritate our children, and so don't break their spirit. I was watching a movie the other day. Now, y'all want some education? My brother said that every once in a while he brings his grandkids in, and when they got Gunsmoke on or something, he said, okay, we're going to have an educational time. So come sit down here, and then make them watch Gunsmoke with us. He said, see there? That's teaching you something. You know? But you know what? We don't need to break their spirit. They captured old Geronimo. That old guy said, we're going to break his spirit. So don't worry, we'll have his spirit broken 2 or 3 days. Well, they didn't break Geronimo's spirit. They ought to know better because that was the name of the movie. He was the star. They didn't break his spirit. But you know what? We don't need to break the spirit of our kids. Our kids need to be able to get up and motivate and think and do what's right and make choices and stuff like that. Don't, just because you're the head, don't mean that you got to beat them down and mistreat them and hurt them. But I tell you one thing, they do need to realize that you are the head and have a respect for you. Let's talk about the husbands. We may ought to close here. God's got an order. Now we can pervert it and we can change it around, but you can't take it out of the Bible. Amen. The Bible says that God is the head of Christ. And that Christ is the head of man, and man is the head of woman. Now the husband is in charge of the family. But the husband is not a dictator. Jesus is the head of the church, but Jesus is not a dictator. Now sometimes we get to thinking as men, I've seen men that just want to be a dictator. It's my way or no way. It's my way or the highway, And they give their wives a fit, their kids to be scared to even breathe and stuff like that. But I'll tell you what, God didn't make it where us men are to be dictators. You're the head, like God's the head of the church. You're head of the family. And Jesus is our head. And we need to be like Jesus. He said, as Christ loved the church, so love your wife. Amen? How did Christ love the church? Christ loved the church that he left the splendors of heaven and come down here because he loved the church. He took beatings. He didn't even look like a man. They said you couldn't even recognize him as a man. Why did he take those beatings? Why? Because he loved the church. He died on the cross because he loved the church. You and I are the church. Born again people. We're not talking about buildings. We're talking about us. And you know what? And so we ought to be like that. Jesus is not a dictator of the church, and we ought not be a dictator. Jesus didn't beat the church, so we ought not beat on our wives. Jesus didn't ignore the church, so we ought not ignore our wives. Because wives hate ignorance. I mean, ignorance. Jesus didn't stop loving the church because the church made a mistake. And we ought not stop loving our wives because they burn the toast or something like that, We need to love our wives. Jesus didn't run off and forsake and leave the church, so we don't need to be run off and leaving and forsaking our wives. And Jesus didn't refuse to provide for the church. So we need to provide for the wives. Listen, folks, the men's supposed to provide for the family, not vice versa. And Jesus is not lazy. He's not a no-good head of the church. And Jesus is not a mean head of the church. We ought to be like Jesus. God's going to hold every husband responsible for his family. Now listen, we can sort of skate out, we think, down here, and we can do what we want to. And we don't have to take care of our families, and we don't have to do all this kind of stuff. But one day, there was a preacher preached a sermon one time, Payday Sunday. Y'all remember that? Payday Sunday. One day we're going to be held responsible, so we can just take it for that. And to be the head, you've got to guard your wife and children. I tell you what, and then every wife ought to be glad that they have a loving husband to guard over them. And you need to honor and you need to respect, and you need to help your husband. Notice the word responsibility. Responsibility. We don't like that word in our society too much. We don't want you to be responsible for nothing. Just it feels good to do it and go on, just run here and there and kick up our heels. But you know what? The husband is responsible to God for the wife. And he's going to give account to God for his family. I tell you what, we need strong men. It takes strong men to be a husband, the kind of husband God wants us to be. We need to stand up and bear the responsibilities of our family. We need to make a living. We need to make a life. We need to guard our family, and we need to chase the devil off of our family. Amen. It's our responsibility. And you know what? Jesus needs to be the Lord of our life. He really does. Men, I tell you what, I don't, where men got, before they, women, if it wasn't for women, I don't know what our churches would do.
Amen.
But it ought to be the men that's taking care of the leadership of the church. You know what? So many times men will find every excuse. Now, you might get something to come on Sunday morning. Most of the time, a lot of times they say, well, the little woman, she'll take the kids to Sunday school and church and stuff like that. That's not right. The men are to get up. When I got saved, we put a plaque on our front door that said, for as far as me and my house, we will serve the Lord. Miss Margie just told me a while ago, she said, I told my company, I'm going to church, y'all go with me or you can stay here.
That's right.
And so, evidently they chose to stay there, but we made the same commitment back in Brazos, Texas. We lived down on the lake. We had a lot of company coming in, and we said, now listen, we're going to church when it comes time for church. And my wife is not the one that said it. I told her, as far as being my house, we will serve the Lord. And when Sunday morning comes, we went to church. We didn't get up and they say, well, the kids said, well, are we going to church today? LeVar didn't get, well, do we need to get ready before we go to church? No, everybody just knew. We went to church on Sunday morning. And when Sunday night come, we went to church on Sunday night. Now some men will come on Sunday morning, but then on Sunday night, they think they're too big, too macho, or whatever it is. It's getting quiet. And then Wednesday night, we all, look around, and all the men, well, I work hard. Well, so what? Jesus died on the cross for you. You know what you do, what you want to do. Everybody's got their priorities, and we as men are to stand up and make our first priority God, serving God and serving our family. Amen. That stopped a bunch of this year junks going on around town. That stopped a bunch of these here delinquents that's running around. You know what? When our kids, when our boys, they need to look up and have a role model. Not have some bum sitting out under the tree drinking their booze and cursing and sending mama and the kids to church. We need to be a shining example. We need to stand up and we need to stand for God, stand for something. We're going to be held accountable. The Bible says, forsake not the assembling of ourselves together. We need to be an example. We need to honor God with our money. I tell you what, men, it's our responsibility when it comes time to time. Don't give it to your wife and say, well, if you want to get, I think the Bible says that you ought to come to God and you need to present your money. I believe in tithing. I believe that 10% is what God wants, and that belongs to God. You ought to give him that to start with, and then after that, then you start giving. That belongs to God anyway. Then you start giving. And then after you start giving, that's the way God blesses you. God, you say, well, I tithe and that's all. Well, that's good. But you need to open the windows of heaven and start giving something. You know what the Bible says? You give, that's the way you're going to receive and stuff like that. But how'd I get off on that? But anyway, we need to read the Bible. Hey, listen, men, I get 3 hot rod magazines a month. Comes in my house. I got hot rod magazines over here at the office. I got hot rod magazines in my house, and I got hot rod magazines there. And you know what? I hardly ever look at one of them. I don't even know why. I think I've subscribed for 3 years for 3 magazines or something like that. And I look at them, you know, and if they got a 57 Chevrolet in it, well, I'll look at it. Other than that, I'll throw them over to the side. But you know what? So many times we get the Bible and we'll throw it over to the side. And we'll get our hot rod magazines or other magazines of some sort of description, you know, and we'll read the magazines and we'll spend our time and we'll spend our time and we'll spend our time. And 5 minutes after it's over with, it's over. We've messed our time up and we've made an example for our kids when we ought to be getting the Word of God. And you ought to be reading it or something that's Christ-like, something that'll help you, something that'll keep you up. People run around and they murmur and they complain. I feel so bad and everything's going so wrong, this, that, and the other. They don't ever give God a chance to help them, to pull them out of the pits. You got to get in the Word. We need to pray. You know what? Laverne and I don't do it now. A lot of times in bed we'll pray together, you know. But we used to get around our bed and pray with our kids. And you know what? It's hard to be mad at somebody when you just been down on your knees. You had your arm around them or you've been held in their hand. And you hear them pouring their heart out and talking to God and loving God and you know where they come from and all that kind of stuff. It's hard to be mad at them. It's hard to get up and slap them around or treat them bad or something like that. Listen, folks, men, listen to me. Men, do you pray? When's the last time that you got your wife by the hand and said, hey, let's just go pray? Let's pray about something special. It ought to be a set time, really. If that's what you got to do, just set a time. You need to pray. Your kids ought to know that how many men that it's something as simple as sitting down to the table to eat, and they'll say, okay, let one of the kids pray. No, it's good to teach your kids to pray. That's right. But I tell you what, men, it ought to be your responsibility. You ought to be setting an example. Pray. Amen. And then, when your kids come up, you know what they're going to do? When they have problems, you know what? They're going to know where to turn. They're going to know where to reach and get their Bible. It's not going to be some kind of hot rod magazine or something else. There's nothing the matter with hot rod magazine. I got them said everywhere. There's nothing the matter with it unless you put them before this. And then there is something the matter with it. Okay? But you know what? Most of us say, oh, I can't do that. I can't talk. I can't pray in front of people. I can't do all that kind of stuff. You can do whatever you want. Amen. It's not been long since Mark and Kim started coming, since we've been to this church here. Mark and Kim's been here. And you know what? Mark don't send Kim to church. He's always the first one up here. But you know what? If I want somebody to pray, I call them Mark. And then all of a sudden there's that person singing and doing all this kind of stuff. See, it takes a man to do that. Amen. It takes a man. Anybody can speak down and say, oh, let somebody else do it. I can't do that. You know what Moses got into when he said that? Oh, I can't talk, Lord. I know you want me to go up there, but I can't talk. Okay? Give me Aaron. Before it's over with, he wished he had seen Aaron. There you go. So, but anyway, we need strong men that takes authority over the home and takes authority over the devil that wants to destroy our home. We need to be up against. You know what Abraham did? Abraham said, you know, he put a sacrifice on the altar, and the birds and the vultures come by, and they started trying to get the sacrifice. The Bible says that Abraham took his staff, and he drove them away. That's the way it is with us. The devil is out getting our family. He's just like those birds. He's just like those vultures. He's trying to kill, steal, and destroy. And what we need to do, men, we need to get our staff, and we need to run that devil away. Amen. Put him on the road. You put your family on the altar, and every demon and every devil's fixing to come in and try to destroy it. We need to stand our ground. We're in a troubled world, folks. Our world's in a mess. I tell you what, all the stuff that's going on, and I don't even want to get into it because it's time to quit. And you know, I tell you what, it's some bad stuff going on in our government. It's some bad stuff going on in our town. It's some bad stuff going on in our families. And you know what? We're just in a troubled world. But you know what? We don't have to be troubled.
Amen.
We are somebody.
Amen.
Special. We're children of the Most High God. We're heirs, joint heirs of Jesus. We're above and not beneath. We're the head, not the tail. And we don't have to fall. We don't have to get out in the mully grubs just because somebody else does it, just because our government says we can do it. We don't have to get out in the mully grubs. We can stand up like men and women of God, and we can be somebody. I tell you what, it said, if we hear these sins of Jesus and do them, the rains may come, the storms may invade you, and the winds may blow, and beat upon your family, and beat upon your wife, and beat upon your children. But if we do what Jesus said, if we walk like he wants us to walk, if we talk like he wants us to talk, if we obey like he wants us to obey, then when the storms come, our families are still going to be standing. And we're going to be honoring God. And we're not going to be worried about the things this earth. God's going to take care of us. Amen. And so I just want to, I won't go any further. But I just want to tell you what, folks. We've got an awesome opportunity. Men, we've got an awesome opportunity. Just stand up, be straight, quit all the foolishness, be the man that we ought to be. Stand up and run that devil off your family. Love your wife like Jesus loved the church. And I'll tell you what, you women, y'all ought to uphold them men. You ought to stand behind them 100%, and you ought to do your part. You ought to love. You ought to let your men know that you appreciate that they stand for God. That they're not out in the honky tonks or something somewhere. And then our children, you know what? Our children need to be brought up in the nurture and the admiration of the Lord. We ought to set a standard for them. We ought to teach them from the time they're a little bitty thing. You know what we do too many times? We get so tied up with jobs and with games, ball games, or races, or cars, or whatever it is that we get our lives tied up with. We get so tied up with them that we ain't got time for our kids. But that's the most important thing is our kids. Why are our kids out there running around? Why are they living like the devil? Why are they in jail? Why are we having to go get them out of the dope houses and things like that? I tell you why. Because we didn't teach them at home. And then we hadn't given them what they got at home. And if they go out there somewhere else, the devil's fixing to teach them. The devil's fixing to take time with them. The devil's fixing to have a heyday with them. But we don't have to be like that. We can be men and women of God. Amen. What do you think about it? Ready to take a stand? Ready to make a difference? How are we going to do it? Us men are going to be men. Amen. Women's going to be women. They're going to back their men. We're going to stand up, read the Bible. We're going to pray. We're going to do what God tells us to do. I tell you what, when the church house door is open, you ought to be there. Whatever you're around, it's what you're going to be. You can go out around the cussers, and the next thing you know, you'll be cussing. You go around the drinkers, if you don't watch it, if you have a problem with that, you're going to be drinking. The dopers, you're going to be doping. Whatever it is, you're going to be doing. Whatever the problem is, don't think that the devil's not excited?
Amen.
We're gonna make a difference.
Amen.
We're gonna make a difference in our church. We're gonna make a difference in our community. When we make a difference in our community, that's gonna affect our state. When it affects our state, that's gonna affect our whole country. The Bible says, if my people, which are called by my name, humble themselves and pray and turn from, turn their wicked way. You gotta turn. Then, I'll heal their land. Our land needs a healing, folks. Start right here. Amen. Praise God. Any needs here today. Let's all stand. If there's a need, anybody here, if you've never been saved, Jesus will save you right here today. You got a need in your life. Healing. Need a healing. Have a financial reversal. Need money. Whatever it is. Maybe you're just not as close as you once was. Anything.